Tonight on Wine with Lynn, I'm going to learn how to drive a stick shift. Right? Right? Join us on the next episode of Wine with Lynn when we go to the opera. I'm telling you, don't get boxed in by the wine. You know what? Wine with Lynn. It's not boxed wine. See, I'm already.
Okay, you're already there.
I'm already. You see, it's all coming out. Welcome to the Michelle Mission, 2 Men, 1 podcast, every black film ever made. My name is Vincent Williams, and I am joined as always by my partner.
Hey, what's up? I'll let your boy. This is Len, aka the Bat Triple.
And as we continue our journey into Octavia April is for Afrofuturism. Tonight, we are going to spend some time with the indie darling from 2018, Fast Color, with the wonderful Lorraine Toussaint, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, and an excellent turn by Sanaya Sidney, who's a young actress who was able to hold her own with Gugu Mbatha-Raw and Lorraine Toussaint. But before we get to that, Mr. Webb, do we have some business to attend to?
Well, we do have some business that we need to attend to. Vince, first and foremost, let's say hello to all of the missionaries out there watching us on Facebook as well as on our YouTube channel. How are each and every one of you? I see Robert Monroe Jr., Aaron Fry, Bree 517. Who says that Len is shining with that Bat Tribble t-shirt. I like it. Thank you very much. This is actually a shirt that I gifted all of the Black Tribbles with a matching sweatshirt as we were triumphant. Well, it appears to be. We'll see what Guinness Book says. In our attempt to set the Guinness Book World Record for the longest live podcast this past weekend.
Excellent. And congratulations.
Thank you very much, Vince. It was indeed a lot of fun. It was a pleasure. And you were actually, you weren't able to stay before the festivities, but you were a part of it.
Popped in, popped
out with 4 humongous chocolate cakes for the great chocolate cake race that it did our 2 combatants under, Vince. They weren't able, I think they cleared a corner of the cake and then they tapped out, but one tapped out after the other. So there was a certifiable winner. But Camille's Confections was the true winner of the great chocolate cake race.
All right.
A lot of fun. And thank you, Robert Monroe, and everyone out there in the chats who are sending you congratulations my way, well, the way of the Tribbles. Hey, we got something else to celebrate. There was a verdict in the George Floyd murder trial, and Officer Derek Chauvin is his name?
Yes.
Derek Chauvin.
And actually, ex-officer.
That's correct. Ex-officer Derek Chauvin was found guilty on all 3 counts: second-degree murder, third-degree murder, as well as, I believe, manslaughter, first-degree manslaughter.
Yeah, manslaughter. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, he was. And we are all happy that a man who was filmed murdering another man for almost 10 minutes, we all held our breath, but he was found guilty.
You're right, and you had mentioned before we turned on the cameras that the nation had let out.
I mentioned a lot of things before.
No, I understand. I ain't gonna do that to you, bro. You just co-produce my next podcast. I ain't gonna do that to you. But you mentioned like how the nation and really, in fact, the world, had let out a collective sigh of relief in regards to this verdict. And that's very true, because the one thing I noticed that if you are watching this in real time, there were cameras almost in every city in the country, but certainly locked down in, where the trial was being held, as people were standing in the streets waiting to hear the verdict.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And you could tell that people were just standing. They were ready. They were ready, unfortunately, and they're ready. They were ready for the letdown, which has always come. And because of that, the letdown would have enacted our muscle memory of exactly how to react. Right.
Right.
We were ready. We knew what to do. We came with whatever we came with. I ain't gonna say whatever, but we came. We was ready. We had eyed which directions we were going to do. There were detailed plans. We were ready because we've been here before. We've seen this movie before. And when the verdict came and it was guilty, there was a huge sigh of relief. And it seemed to me that there were indeed some people, as many people, as very joyous, overwhelmed with emotions. There were some people that were just, what do we do? Don't know how to. There's no muscle memory for this. You're not ready for this.
Yeah. Look, I don't think anyone would have been surprised if he was found innocent, or there was lesser charges, or any of the things that kind of happened, because like you said, we have been here before. Right. We have been here before, and I saw somebody, one of the many things that many people have posted, that the only thing that has really changed since Rodney King is the quality of the video.
True, very true.
So
and the multiple angles of the video and all
that. Right. So I'm glad he's found guilty. But I didn't see this as a sweeping endorsement for the American judicial system. I'm just glad he was found guilty.
I got you.
And I said, well, I guess now we can just talk about the movie tonight.
Right.
We just talk about the movie. Yeah.
Right. It's funny. Yeah. It's funny. I actually got a text. I actually got a text from our social media director, Toya Haynes. She texted me. I honestly was very concerned about how you and Vince were going to do the show tonight if the verdict had gone another way. I am so very glad.
Well, we'd have had a show.
Well, that's
true.
One way
or another, it would have been a show.
Very, very true. Very true.
It may have been one of the episodes where we talk about the movie for 5 minutes, but
Right. And we'll be hearing some more from Toya in a little bit later down the line here on the show. Before we go there, I just wanted to, Vince, you as our resident true music nerd, I don't know if you took the time to notice. I certainly did. Whenever you go onto the internet, is specifically going to Google, right. They have for the day, they'll have a highlight of some famous moment in time or a famous person from history. And today they highlighted that today, April 20th, would have been the 70th birthday of the late Luther Vandross.
Yeah, which it's real. Even if he was still alive, he would have still have been pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
You forget how young Luther was when he died, and just really one of the real cornerstones of soul music in the last 30, 40 years. I'm saying 30 years because in my mind it's always the year 2000.
Me too. Me too.
It really is the last 50 years, just one of the real foundational elements of soul music and black music. And the thing I always say about Luther is one of those artists that they never stop playing.
Right.
and you never get tired of it. Like if A House Is Not Home comes on right now, or Superstar comes on right now, and you listen to it from the beginning to the end, and then they start it all over again. Listening to it, I was talking when we were talking about the Bustin' Loose soundtrack,
right?
And then I was talking about my favorite Luther song, "You Stop Loving Me," where just a heartbreak in it, and it's a shame that he's gone, but it's much like I think about with Aretha Franklin. In a lot of ways, it feels abstract to me that he's gone, because there's never been one day that Luther hasn't been around, quote unquote, on the radio. But happy birthday to that brother in heaven.
Amen. I was in just looking up, it makes you look up, appreciate someone all over again when you see them on like that Google stamp and everything like that. And especially because they were playing my favorite Luther song on that little tribute to him. And it's probably in the top 10 of my favorite songs of all time, Never Too Much. I will stop. The world stops whenever I hear that song, and I immediately just have to sing it all the way through. But in looking up, I know how much you think of the music magazine Rolling Stone. And it actually, I was looking at this in Rolling Stone in 2008, which was, I believe, 3 years after Luther passed away, because I believe he passed away in 2005. You're right. In 2008, Luther Vandross was ranked by Rolling Stone magazine number 54.
See, right there.
Number 50.
I know you're teasing me, but look, man, middle-aged white guys making music lists.
Number 54 in their list of the 100 greatest singers of all time. Right. I defy you to name.
There are 53 people that they said sing better than Luther.
Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah,
that's not happening.
We should probably keep this conversation moving.
Okay, all right. Sorry, bro.
53 people. 53 people.
Yeah.
Sing better than Luther.
Yep, that's your magazine, Vince. Rolling Stone. Just want to let you know.
I don't even know why I do this to my. Do you actually have the list in front of you?
I don't have the list. I didn't go that far, Vince. I wasn't going to do that to you.
53 people.
I wasn't going to do
microphone.
I wasn't going to do that to you.
Sang better than Luther Vandross.
53 people. They have 53 people who they say sang better than Luther Vandross. But now you're gonna make me go there.
No, let's keep going. All right,
man. All right, good. I'm closing it out. I'm not going there.
Close it out. Just close it out. So they could pick a singer every week.
You're right.
They could pick a singer every week.
Every week for a year.
It wouldn't be in the first year. That's what you're telling me. That's what Rolling Stone said. All right. 53. He's number 54, huh?
I smell a trailer talk coming. All right.
Go ahead.
All right. We got emails, Vince.
Let's go to our emails. Yes. Yeah.
We got listener mail. We got a comment from Fatima in regards to our review last week of Born in Flames.
Hey, Fatima.
But not specifically about Born in Flames. It was more about Godzilla versus Kong. And Fatima says, I was like Vincent. I watched Godzilla versus Kong after a couple of glasses of wine. I missed the last hour. She also says that I will pass on the Amazon series Them, no trauma porn allowed. LA Times and Vulture had strong anti-series reviews. I laughed when you mentioned Tom Hanks looking for the next white male heroic story circa 19th or 20th century.
I mean, you know it's right though. Like, you know, what's the last one that just came? Like, they just had a mini series or something about these brave white men during World War II that did brave white men stuff, and then came home and propped up segregation for 30 years. Greatest generation, baby.
In his defense, Tom Hanks did not have anything to do with that movie, though.
Then they had some kids, and some of them kids grew up and became writers at Rolling Stone magazine and said that Luther Vandross was the 54th greatest singer of all
time. We also heard from Mo Poplar.
What's up, Mo? I haven't talked to Mo in a minute.
Skin tone in historials. Regarding colorism in films, it kind of goes both ways. Yes, there is a tendency to cast light-skinned people as upwardly mobile, empowered Black folk, but also to cast dark-skinned people as the put upon and burdened. I walked out of The Help. Yes, are we reviewing The Help? Really annoyed that they cast this story with all dark-skinned folks in the South. Because despite segregation, there are a ton of light-skinned Black folks in the historical South. From what I've read and people I know, complexion could have granted you some privilege, but there's been a rainbow of women doing domestic work. Angela Davis, notorious not just for her afro, but also her fair complexion, was born in Birmingham, Alabama, and missed church on Sunday when her 4 friends died in a famous bombing. Her mother wasn't a domestic, but people who look like her show up in this much. Y'all should compile a list of films that speak to this while we're on the journey. He says we should compile a list of films while we're on the journey. Well, if we're on the journey, why don't you compile a list? Anyway, A Space for... I'm sorry. I only put that out there because Mo Popular as I do, and I can say that to him. A Space for Traumatic Stories regarding Black trauma porn. I feel like Black history in America is like the Bible. There are so many ways to read what happened. Eddie Murphy's movie Life explores mass incarceration, but it's a comedy. Lovecraft Country might be the first exploration into the death of Emmett Till, and it's science fiction. It's a curious thing to document and remember where we came from, but have to dress it up and make it slight. A little cube of sugar makes the medicine go down. Do we have to Django everything? That said, I too haven't seen Them or When They See Us, but I'm going to blame the pandemic. And I conquered. Kayvon Stage is awesome. If he makes a movie, y'all should talk about him. Mo.
All right.
There's from Mo.
Thanks, Maurice.
Thank you very much. The only thing that I would say in regards, the only thing that really stands out to me in what he wrote is that I don't see When They See Us as trauma porn. I see it as I see more as a documentation of something that a moment in time, a specific story, and having watched it, I don't think it is done in the way that could. I don't think that is done in a way that sensationalizes the story in any way so that it can be perceived as trauma porn. You know what I mean?
Right. I think it's subjective. I think I agree with you about When They See It, but I certainly understand people who don't want to engage.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like I just don't want to engage to protect my own mental health and my own. Look, man, I'm going through an issue right now where Adam is going through a finding, like he's a Finding Nemo, Finding Dory dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are his part of his jams, and like I can't really do them because I can't do Lost Kids.
Oh, okay.
So like my
Really?
baseline, yeah, exactly.
Well,
Like
I
my
guess.
baseline is I can't do Lost Kids. So if I can't do Finding Nemo or that damn Finding Dory, then you know I can't do When They See Us. Like kids. So I just think it's subjective, and I do think that ultimately everyone has to decide what it is that they can engage with
Gotcha.
to protect themselves. And in a lot of ways, Maurice kind of said it, where he said he hasn't watched them and he hasn't watched, and I forgot the other example that he was talking about.
Well, he said he had watched them and he hadn't watched When They See It.
Right, but he said it's because of the pandemic. And look, we are all of us. I was just talking about this the other day. We are all going through this generational, or this, hopefully once in a generation traumatic moment.
Mm-hmm.
Like whenever this is quote unquote over, we probably all need therapy. And then when you put Black on top of it, like as Black people, I'm a firm believer we all need therapy anyway. Like just generalized Black people therapy. And then we're dealing with the pandemic and everything. So I have no problem with people saying I'm just not doing that right now. Like I got enough going on right now.
Bree 517 says, "Lost Kids I get, but they're fish."
I know they're fish.
She's just saying, don't go. And RM on YouTube says that it was unfolded. It didn't revel in the violence. It's also telling that the only one episode of them was directed by a Black person.
Interesting.
That's real. It's real. And at the risk of triggering you, Fatima had to pull up the list of the 54.
I just want to know who's 53. Who's 53? Just tell me who's 53, and we can all move on with our lives.
Okay. She has not put in that. She's put down quite a number. So Fatima is watching. I'll wait for her to now. Vince, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you who number one is. Okay. Number one is Aretha Franklin.
I was about to say it's probably Aretha. Again, are we still on the radio? Like when were we on the radio?
We're not on the radio anymore.
Look, baby boomer shit is baby. Like I know them damn. Like they love Aretha.
That's true. They do love Aretha.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all that they have Aretha at number one.
Number 53, Vince, is Muddy Waters.
Hey, how is Muddy Waters a better singer than Luther Vandross? Lord Jesus, don't get, oh my God.
Now, wait a minute, Vince. Just for the sake of argument, and you're the music guy, so I'll kneel before your decision.
No, you just messed. Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead,
wind
me up. Go ahead.
I don't think that there's any way that you could say that Muddy Waters was a better singer than Luther Vandross. But is there an argument to be made that Muddy Waters and his career was more influential than Luther Vandross?
What does influential mean?
I don't know. I'm asking you.
No. Again, and now I'm back to this whole this white baby boomer view of Black music. Let's just call it what it is. They don't listen to Luther. So therefore they don't value Luther.
Right.
They listen to Muddy Waters. They listen to it's like they start with the Big Chill soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
And then they kind of go from there. And they talk about Motown, and they talk about the blues dudes that Led Zeppelin and all of them stole from. So they throw them blues dudes on there, but just straight, unapologetic black music. Something like Rolling Stone does not evaluate as highly. And no matter how they dress it up, the bottom line is they're not going to talk about the OJs. They're not going to talk about Maze featuring Frankie Beverly. They're not going to talk about Luther. They don't listen to it.
Okay. But they had Ray Charles as number 2.
Again.
I know.
Yeah, right.
I know.
Right.
I know.
I'm a 60-year-old white dude who worked at the college radio station when I went to Syracuse, and then I got a job at some paper, and then I became a staff writer in the Rolling Stone. Like, I know this dude.
All right, Vince. All right, dog. Well, I won't tell you who's number 4. I'm just going to go on to the next email. Okay.
All right, who's number 4? Who's number 4? Go ahead. Just tell me. Who's number 4? Just tell me. Because I'm going to have to rage look this up later. Like, I'm sitting here angry looking at it by myself.
Elvis Presley.
I've broken the internet. Go.
Elvis Presley.
Christ's sake. And see, and that's that. See, because they really wanted to put him at 1. But they knew they couldn't put him on.
Fatima gave us some. She gave us a couple of hot takes. Paul McCartney is number 11.
Real hot for Paul McCartney.
Mick Jagger is number 16.
Oh my God, Mick Jagger ain't never been able to sing.
Bruce Springsteen is number 36. Oh, excuse me. There's a correction. Fatima's giving me a correction. So Aretha Franklin's number 1. Ray Charles is number 2. Elvis Presley is number 3. Sam Cooke is number 4. And John Lennon is number 5.
So John Lennon is higher than Paul McCartney. Is that what I'm hearing? Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Because even that, the cool white music dude thought that John Lennon was better than Paul McCartney because they thought that the compositions were more complicated.
Right.
And that Paul McCartney was just poppier. I'm telling you, they're like a stereotype.
I hear you, Vince. I'm not arguing with you.
I'm not even going to touch Elvis Presley being a better singer than Sam Cooke. We can just keep going.
All right. Thank you, Fatima. This was lovely.
Luther Vandross is 54.
That is egregious. I will agree. I'm not saying Luther Vandross. There's an argument to be made whether or not he's top 10 or not, but he damn sure is not all the way down to 54. So.
And this is singer. Like
Singers.
It's singer. This is singer.
Right, because they're taking out like groups. Otherwise, the Beatles would be
but singer.
Singer. It says singer.
So these people are telling me that Bruce Springsteen is a better singer than Luther Vandross.
He's not a better singer than Luther Vandross. He's not.
I mean, I thought that's what the conversation was.
He's not. I will say though, just from my own point of view, and I do like Luther Vandross. I do. I like him a lot. But I'm trying to think. There are some Bruce Springsteen songs that kind of like they do get me. You know, they get me in a way that very few Luther Vandross songs get me. Like I like Luther Vandross, and I can recognize his professionalism and his mastery of sound and putting together lyrics and all that type of stuff. And he can take somebody else's song and make it his own.
And singing. Like we're talking
singing.
about singing, right? We just talking about singing, right?
Yes, but I
feel like Allen Iverson over here all of a sudden. We talking about singing. Like we talking about singing.
Not the song.
That's why I asked. We didn't say songwriting. We didn't say not performance. We didn't say influence.
We ain't talking about the song. We ain't talking about the album. We talking about singing, man.
You told me to list the best singers.
We talking
like
about
if you
singing.
said songwriters, then I said, oh, okay, well now that's a different conversation. But you told me it was singers.
Well, it says singer, but I have to imagine they're taking everything into consideration. But I don't know.
My daughter's now gotten into it. She wants to know where Whitney Houston was.
Oh God. God, people have run up the stairs into Vince's studio and asking him. They've got like a laundry list. Well, where's Whitney Houston? Where's Mariah Carey? Where's Michael Jackson? Where's Prince?
Right, we're talking about singers.
Here's the shame of it was when I first started thinking about that, when I saw that Luther, it was his birthday and stuff, right? I just had a conversation with somebody, and I think it actually may have been Toya, I can't remember. We were talking about how, Prince, was no longer with us, and Michael Jackson was no longer with us. And we started thinking about like what type of verses, because verses is the new thing right now. What type of verses those two might have against one another. So when I saw Luther, my mind instantly clicked, oh my God, I wonder who would Luther go up against in verses? And your daughter just said who it would be. It would be Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston, yeah. And because we talk about singing. That's what you told me. You told me this was a conversation about singing. Like, to be clear, I think there's a moment. Luther does that 80s stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of pivots into pop.
A little poppy, yeah.
We talking, speaking of Whitney Houston, it's like that post-Whitney Houston moment that he pivots into. And I'm not that big of a fan of that material.
Me neither.
But he still is Luther. Like
Very
when Luther
true.
is singing Here and Now, or I don't know, one of them other songs that sound like it's for a shampoo commercial. Like he's still Luther.
When he get all jingly, when he starts singing jingles.
Right. Look, I always say, make that Michael Jackson money. Like, make some of that money. Make some of that Whitney Houston money. I wasn't mad at him.
I ain't mad at him. Fatima says that Whitney Houston was 34. She's at number 34.
Whitney Houston is 34.
And Prince is at number 30.
Okay, yeah. Let's keep it moving. Let's keep we like 30 minutes into it. We about to derail the whole show. Yeah, just.
Yeah, we still got one more email to read.
Prince is at 30. Prince is at 30, huh?
Prince is at 30.
Prince is at 30. 29 people. Sing better than Prince.
Okay. We got another
sing better than Whitney Houston. Go ahead. One of those people
we have a
All right, a little less conversation, a little more action. Go ahead.
We also got an email from Nettie Smith.
Hey, what's up, Nettie?
In regards to our review of Pariah.
Oh, okay.
And I think I may have read this one, but I'm not sure, so I'm reading it again, and it bears repeating. Okay, so today I listened to your episode on Pariah, and I just wanted to give you guys some notes, mainly on pronunciation. The name of the director is actually Dee Reese, like Reese Witherspoon. It's mentioned in a few interviews. If you look on YouTube, you can hear the pronunciation. And the actress is Asha Davis. You guys were saying Aisha, but it is actually Asha, which rhymes with Sasha. Our podcast is about one of Asha's former TV shows, South of Nowhere. So we've interviewed her. We've reviewed Pariah as well. She's an amazing actress, and I wanted to get her props, especially when people aren't familiar with her work and name. So I just wanted to give you guys a pointer on the pronunciation. By the way, she has a relatively new movie she stars in called The Long Shadow, her first starring role that it is currently on Showtime. Also, it would help in the future if you guys take out some of the pauses. There were times where one of you guys had trouble articulating how you felt about the movie and would make pretty long pauses. I thought my headphone went out. The podcast had gotten cut off. If you cut out those pauses or cut those pauses in half next time, I'd appreciate it. That's all. Other than that, great from Nettie Smith.
Well, thank you, Nettie.
I thought you. We have another piece of business that we have to handle today. And this is for all of you on in the Facebook group who maybe have not gone over to our Instagram page. I think it may actually be in the Facebook group too. I'm not sure. May is just around the corner, as you all know, and you know what that means. It's time for another Mother May I, have another one of those Black movie months on the Michelle Mission. This is when Vince and I deliberately watch bad movies during the month of May. Yes, this was Lynn's idea. Well, this year, you will get to select which will be the final film of May that we will be reviewing on the Michelle Mission, and the final film we will actually be having our first May I Have Another One of Those Bad Black Movies watch parties. We're actually going to schedule a time and sit down and do a watch party with the film of your choice, and after that, do our review of the film. And we've given you 3 choices that our social media director, Toya, chose. We had nothing to do with the choices.
Terrible.
So the 3 movies that you get to choose from are Madea Goes to Jail.
Madea Goes to Jail.
Norbit. Or White Chicks.
White Chicks.
All right. So make your vote. If you go over to our Instagram page, you'll see the post there. You can make your vote known. We've got more than a few votes in already. Your brother, I feel like my brother at this point too, Damon Williams says, of the 3 movies, White Chicks is the one I'd least like to watch. So White Chicks gets my vote. Better you guys than me.
There you go. Well, that is the nature of Mother May I. We watch it so you don't have to.
The comedian Daryl Charles, he votes for Madea. But Madea got to get my vote because our Tyler Perry reviews are epic. Let's see.
You saw Dorian Missick protested.
Yes, Dorian Missick. I was saving that. Dorian Missick said that Madea is a no-brainer, but I reject Norbit being on the list. That movie is underrated, and y'all ain't about to talk bad about Eddie Murphy.
You know, that's like the third time I've heard him talk about Norbit.
I know, right?
Like we've been with him and he's talking, and then he'll say something about Norbit, and then I'll go, all right, let's put a pin in that.
Right, because every time we say, okay, what's the next film you want to review, Dorian, he never selects Norbit.
I just think it's hilarious that he has this affection for Norbit.
I do too, and the thing is, it is indeed affection. He has affection.
Yeah, genuine affection. Yeah.
RM on YouTube, who I think may be Robert Monroe, I'm not sure, says, what did y'all do to Toya? Who hurt her? This was her choices. We had nothing to do with her choices. And George Kimona says, wait, we have to watch these too? Yes, we're holding a watch party. So you better come, George Kimona. Matter of fact, we may come to your house and hold the watch party there, George. There you go. So
it promises to be a fun time.
It does. It does. Deuce Brown says that White Chicks is a guilty pleasure, so don't play with me. Okay. It looks like our Facebook group so far has White Chicks in the lead. This was according to 4 days ago. However, on Instagram, I think Medea Goes to Jail is in there. Melissa Gumps, all the way from the Netherlands, says Medea Goes to Jail gets my vote. I'm looking for a new rant cut. So you got a good rant here earlier today, Melissa. I'll tell you that right now. We got a good rant earlier today.
54, huh? Luther's at 54.
Toya said I just had to come on here and see all of this violence.
That's terrible, Toya. Choose peace. Choose peace.
Oh man, just continue voting, ladies and gentlemen, and whichever film comes out on top, that is the film that we are going to be watching in a watch party the last week in May. A part of Mother May I. So it promises to be a very good time.
Absolutely.
All right. We are way overdue. It is time for us to get into our review of tonight's film, Vince.
Yes.
Fast Color.
All right. We ain't got no time for trailer talk.
Well, the thing is, this is going to be a very weird show. This is going to be a bad audio show. I'm letting people know that right now.
Wow, what happened?
Because my recorder stopped recording.
Oh man, web.
I didn't notice it. I think it got filled up. It got filled up. So it stopped recording, which means that the show is going to be basically our feed from StreamYard, which will be very choppy. But
I mean, I got my joint. I emptied my card.
Okay. But admittedly, you don't do other podcasts.
True. It's true.
You just do the one.
I was about to say, you got all the Guinness Book of World Records stuff on yours.
It's true. I do have some stuff on there.
Right.
And I just totally forgot. Oh man.
You want to do something before we start? I mean, we haven't started the actual review yet.
No, we haven't. So let me do this.
Yeah.
Since we don't have trailer talk. Unless you want to just keep on entertaining people with your rant about Luther Vandross at 54.
Rant about Luther Vandross at 54, and I'm trying to figure out who else is on it. Because we didn't even talk about Stevie Wonder or Marvin Gaye. And I know they're on there. Because, again, they love some Motown. Just wonder where they are.
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, let me ask you, Vince. Off the top of your head, can you name 5 singers that you would have above Luther Vandross?
5 above Luther?
Yes.
Oh, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding,
Wait a minute. Who was the first one? Aretha?
Aretha.
Okay.
Yeah, Aretha and Sam Cooke. Aretha, Sam Cooke, and Otis Redding are always my triumvirate. And then let me see, above Luther. Actually, we'll put Stevie above Luther.
Interesting.
I put Stevie above Luther. Maybe Gladys.
Gladys?
Maybe Gladys Knight. Like now I'm thinking about her whole body of work.
I ain't mad at that because I love myself some Gladys Knight.
Right, how she delivers a song and the actual feeling in it. You know, Gladys, I think, is arguable.
Oh my God, I don't mean to trigger you any more than you've already been triggered. But on this list, wait a minute, where was it? Here it is. Patti LaBelle is 95.
It's ridiculous. It's, again.
Wait a minute. George Kimona, right before I told you, said, don't tell him.
Look, again, right, Marvin Gaye is 6. Right, I knew Marvin Gaye would be up there. I knew Marvin Gaye would be high.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Toya is talking about how Stevie doesn't always have perfect pitch. Luther Vandross had perfect pitch.
Here's the thing, Toya. Ironically, that makes Stevie higher for me because you get more of the emotion.
Me too. See, I was about to say, and that's the thing about Luther Vandross. I don't knock Luther Vandross. I don't. But there is a point, like you said, around the late 70s, 80s, he gets a little poppy. And I don't think he ever really returns from poppy. He tries to find his way back, but I don't think he ever gets back to early Luther. You know what I'm saying? Where the emotion came through. Hungry Luther.
That's why You Stop Loving Me is my favorite Luther song. Because as much as I love something like Superstar or A House Is Not a Home, like they're actually perfect performances.
Mm-hmm.
But like You Stop Loving Me sounds like his heart is actually broken.
Right. Right.
Like I'm actually singing about something that happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. You ready? You fix your stuff because now don't get me rolling.
Roll, man, because I can't delete stuff off the card, so I have to transfer it onto the computer. So it's transferring on the computer, and then once that's done, then I'll put it back.
Right. And I knew Patty wasn't going to be on there. I knew Patty wasn't going to be in there because again,
well, she damn sure ain't. She at 95, so she damn sure ain't.
Look, because if I'm a 63-year-old white baby boomer writer for Rolling Stone, I don't know what Patty I've listened to.
Right. Right.
Like I didn't really do LaBelle.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do them couple of Philly International albums that she did. You know, Love You, Need You. Like I didn't listen to any of that with Patty.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of know about New Attitude. She was like making soundtracks and stuff, but like I don't really know Patty like that.
That's true.
So that's why Patty goes low.
He makes a good point. And that's a shame. Speaking about Gladys Knight, I not to toot my own horn a little bit, but
toot.
But to toot her horn. Toya, our social media director, Toya Haynes, she has a very, very cool podcast called The First Time I Heard. And the most recent episode that she did, she actually talks about the first time that she heard Patti LaBelle. I mean, not Patti LaBelle, Gladys Knight. The first time that she heard Gladys Knight. And it actually is a pretty damn good episode, if I do say so myself, as the person that put it together.
I'm actually curious about that because, like, how do you know? Like, how do you know the first time you heard Gladys Knight? I just assumed you just heard Gladys Knight in the womb. Like, it's always, like, I realize I've known all the words to Gladys Knight songs my whole life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Gladys is no joke. All right, I'm be ready to roll in about a couple of minutes, Vince. I'm plugging back in my card now.
Mm-hmm.
It stopped. You know when it stopped, Vince?
When it stopped? When I started yelling about Elvis?
Pretty much. It stopped 16 minutes into the show.
Okay. All right.
16 minutes into the show, it said, "We've had enough." Okay. All right. So I'm back. I'm back recording.
All right.
Now we can get into our review of Fast Color. And Gladys Knight was number 51. So she was over Luther. Well, you said you might put her over Luther.
I did, but now I'm back to there's 50 people who they said sing better than Gladys.
Better than Gladys Knight.
Lord Jesus.
And one of them was Mick Jagger.
and another one was Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah, that's true. I wouldn't put Bruce Springsteen over Gladys Knight. No.
And the third one was Elvis.
Well, I mean, Elvis is like him, quiet as kept for me. Him and John Lennon up there that high is egregious to me. I'm sorry. Like, no.
Oh,
I'm not saying no, not at all. No, fuck out of here.
I will listen to a Paul McCartney argument.
Yes.
If you tell me Paul McCartney, again, we're talking about singers. If you tell me Paul McCartney is that high, I'll say, oh, okay, tell me some more. Like, let me hear your argument.
Right. Yeah. Right.
But,
give me some receipts.
Yeah. Right. Let's see where we're right. What you talking about exactly? But anyway.
All right. We got
great journalism in Rolling Stone. Great journalism. Like I like how they write a story, but great interviews. But I don't need a room full of pure white men telling me nothing about music. I don't want to hear no list from you.
I heard they put
Elvis
Presley was number 3 on their list of the 100 greatest rappers as well.
Do you listen to yourself? And again, in your heart, you know they won't make them number one. Like, it was an argument in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Elvis should be one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But all right. Let's go, Vince. Let's go. Let's get into our review of Fast Color.
All right. Fast Color, a 2018 drama sci-fi thriller. After years in hiding, a woman is forced to go on the run when her superhuman abilities are discovered. Years after having abandoned her family, the only place she has left to hide is home. Directed by Julia Hart, written by Julia Hart and Jordan Horowitz, Fast Color stars Gugu Mbatha-Raw, Lorraine Toussaint, David Strayhorn, Sanaya Sidney, and was the choice of Lynn Webb here as we continue through Octavia April. April is for Afrofuturism. Lynn, what do you have to say about Fast Color?
For all of those people who are hungry, not only for the representation of women in some of these genre fiction that speaks more to the superpowered, i.e. superhero films, and for all of those who are hungry for the better representation of Black people in these range of films as well. I invite you all to sit down and watch Julia Hart's Fast Color, because first and foremost in this movie is that this is a movie. I've seen people call it like a superhero film because we're talking about superpowered beings. And it is. We are talking about beings with superhuman abilities. But first and foremost, what we are talking about, to me anyway, is we're talking about generational legacy in this film. Because this film is at its heart about the relationships between three women in this film. And I'm going to give them all the honorific of being women because they are women. They just are at different stages in their lives. You have Gugu and Mbatha-Raw, who plays our lead character, Ruth, who is super powered, but it is stifled by some early trauma in her life that also plays a part in leading her down the road of drug addiction, right? And has her leaving her home, trying to reconcile with with not only what has happened to her, but also the choices that she made in the wake of what's happened to her. And leaving her mother, played by Lorraine Toussaint, her mother, Bo, at home with her daughter, Ruth's daughter, and I just drew a blank on I know Sanaya Sidney is the actress, and the character's name is actually,
Lila.
Lila, that's right, Lila. Leaving her with Lila. In this film that is set in the near future where it has not rained for 8 years and I think they just say like in the American Midwest, but I'm not sure. It may actually be across America. It has not rained for 8 years. That's a little bit ambiguous to me, and it's a point of the film, but not an overarching, thing that you need to know. It's just something to keep in the back of your head. It hasn't rained for 8 years. Water is a premium here. Water is strictly rationed in this town that Ruth is coming back to because she wants to reconcile with her life. She wants to take that next step. She's gotten sober, and now she wants to take the next step, which is reclaiming her life with her mother and with her daughter. Even though she is plagued with these horrible seizures that bring on, because of her superhuman abilities, that bring on these traumatic and devastating earthquakes wherever she is. That is the overall quick plot of the story. There's the government is chasing her because they found out about her powers and they want to do tests on her, and that part of the story is straight out of the comic books, straight out of science fiction 101 in a lot of films. But it too, as germane as it is to the plot, is very much just a afterthought, because the bulk of this film is smartly and meditatively about the relationship between these three women and them reconciling with one another. And in taking that direction, taking that focal point and making it the highlight of this film, Julia Hart and the writer Jordan Horowitz, who is also her husband, have crafted together a very heartfelt, sincere, dramatic, funny slice of life from a comic book. How many times, Vince, and me and you are two comic book guys, how many times have we, championed like the super great battle that Superman had, or the Avengers went off fighting Thanos, and it's like, woohoo. But our favorite comics are the ones that take place in between the battles. It's just having time to sit down with the characters and just learn more about them. And I think that is very true about this film as well. This is one of those moments which you are just sitting down and listening to these people reveal themselves about one another. You're listening to Ruth reveal about how the trauma that she not only felt from losing her powers, but the trauma from a very, very devastating moment in time when she is with her baby that haunted her so much that it proves to be the cause of a lot of her issues without trying to give it away so much. You hear her mother, Bo, detail the history of their family. There's women in her family have generationally noted the powers that have been handed down from one generation to another, which just speaks of, I think also just speaks of the, it's kind of like the lineage of Black women and the power of Black women that is always on display, that Black women have always been aware of, but for one reason or another, and their reasons, scared of people taking advantage of them, they hide away. They keep to themselves, and that is, long been the story of Black women throughout time. And I think it is, while every once in a while Black women do get caped up, I think it is only probably within the last 10, 15, maybe 20 years that Black women's cape has really been allowed to shine. It has been put on the flag and the pedestal that it has deserved to be. And I think this is another movie that relishes in that moment when it was released out in 2018. It's a movie that I think it's fair to say that Lila, played by Sanaya Sidney, is the smartest person in the film. And yet she's not precocious. She's not annoying in any way. She is deeply intelligent. And you can see where the courage that she has, because she is a person who realizes where they are, realizes why we keep our powers on tuck, but is also questioning, but why? Because she's from that generation of, why do I have to keep my powers on tuck? Why? Especially when I'm looking in a world where it hasn't rained for 8 years. There is a valid question about what is going on in the world. Could I maybe do something to help this? Do I not have some responsibility to maybe try and to affect some type of change? If nothing else, I just want to see the world. I want to step out of these rooms. I want to step, further than the front yard. And her doing that was something that you learn every generation has fought. Bo, her grandmother, fought through that and had it beaten out of her by her mom. Ruth, her mother, fought that same thing, and then to the point where she ran off to devastating results. And now Lila, here she is reconciling with that and wants to do it, but do it smarter, to do it in her way. And everyone has to these three women have to, deal with where each other are at this place in their life. And I think it's just a beautiful exploration of that relationship. Are there trappings in here that, like I say, they call it a superhero story. It's not, if anything, it's a superhero. It's an origin story. I don't know if it's an origin story of a superhero or if it's the old TV series Heroes done right. If it's a M. Night Shyamalan, universe of superheroes done right, maybe it probably shares more DNA with those type of films than with, your Avengers or Supermans or things of that nature. But either way you slice it, and it's got the trappings, like it's got the government, it's got the one person who's loyal to them, played by David Strathern as the sheriff, who proves to have more of a personal connection to them than you're let on in the beginning. It's kind of like hint for the possible sequel right at the very end of the film. Drops a little note about where this film and this story may go. So does it have some of those trappings? Yes, it does, and it does them fairly well. But overall, first and foremost, it's just a story about these three women, and it's a masterful story. And it's an independent film. It's a lower budget film. But I'm going to say it has some of the most amazing is not the right word. Some of the most realistic special effects that I have seen in the film. There's a moment in this film where Bo, played by Lorraine Toussaint, because her power is to be able to, take things apart and then put them back together. And there's a moment in this film where she takes apart the cigarette that she's smoking and then puts the cigarette back together. And the way that it is completely shot, you couldn't tell me that this wasn't the work of the people who worked on Endgame or Infinity War, because it was so well done, and such a small moment. It did not, and for such a visually stimulating moment, visual effect, it did not steal away from the moment at all. It didn't take you out of the scene at all. It fit perfectly. It was just like spot on. And there are other moments in this film when they use their powers and see the colors, and they speak about seeing the colors. It's like the after effect of using their powers, and you don't see the colors yourself until a particular moment in the film. And when you see it, it almost has like a very supernatural feel to you, that they get over it. They pull it off, because it easily could have been like some very cheesy effects, but they pull it off, and it works. This film is to take advantage of the starkness and make you feel the dryness of there being no water for years. It's filmed in the flatlands, and it's a beautiful film. I mean, this film takes advantage of its wide screen. There are some lovely moments where the three actresses are on screen at one time. There's a really cool moment that I read that they were thinking about cutting from the film, but they didn't. When the day after a fight, they all arrive in the kitchen, and they just go about their business in the kitchen silently. And God is like, it's so very true. And like, that's what happens, because life goes on. Yeah, I'm pissed at you, but we still got to do. And it's just silent. It's wordless, and it's perfect. Just a great moment in this film, filled with so many moments, so many phenomenal actors. Chris Denham is good. David Strathern is good. But Gugu and Mbatha-Raw, who never ever disappoints. I have yet to see a film with her where she is, or anything where she disappoints. She always knocks it out the box. Lorraine Toussaint, I could go on about Lorraine Toussaint forever. Like, she is just a beast. And Sanaya Sidney, there's nothing but greatness ahead for this young actress, who I read in another interview, who said her biggest wish is to become what Viola Davis is. And she is on her way. This young woman has presence. She has poise. She has talent. She has charisma. She's got it all, and she stands toe to toe with these two titans and doesn't flinch. And they make it's perfect synchronicity. They're talking about doing this film and it's going to go forward as possibly a series, and they can only hope to lock down all three of them for the series, because whoever is challenged to follow in either their wake has got some huge shoes to step in. This was just great. I turn it over to you, my friend.
Yeah. I think everything you just said, I can sum it up. In a lot of ways, this film is like, you ever eat crab imperial? Have you ever had crab imperial? And it's crab, but then it's like cheese and cream, and it's all this stuff. And I always say, you don't need all that stuff.
Right.
Like, you just need the crab.
Just could have stopped the crab.
And I know we're doing this for Afrofuturism, and it's Octavia April. I didn't need the science fiction. I didn't need the superpowers. I didn't need it hasn't rained for 8 years. And I think the world building is pretty well done. Much like you, I think they did a good job with the world building. I love the conceit of the water bottles with the markings that are half full and everything that, much like you, I thought the special effects were very smartly used. Like, you could tell, as you said, there's an indie film, so the budget is only so big.
Right.
But when they decided to spend some money on some special effects, they did it well. But part of the reason the world building and everything works so well is the caliber of actor in this.
Right.
This movie is an hour and 47 minutes. For almost a half hour, it's just Gugu and Mbatha-Raw by herself on the run. And we've seen this before. We talked about this with something like the World, the Devil in the Flesh, where Harry Belafonte is by himself for a long time. And we'll revisit this same subject next week with Diaz for Zachariah, where acting by yourself is not easy.
Right.
But Mbatha-Raw is so good. She's so good even when she's not talking. And much like you, Lorraine Toussaint is just the absolute best.
Yeah.
Like, just the absolute best. The scene that you're talking about with the cigarette, this is how much I love Lorraine Toussaint. One, we've been talking about music all episode. One of my very, very specific sort of annoyances with films over the past 10 years is there's a music cue where these films will play some Nina Simone to let you know this is important.
Right.
Like we're now dealing with something important because we're playing Nina Simone.
Right.
And it's very rarely earned.
Right.
But there's a moment in this film where Lorraine Toussaint's character, Bo, goes to put a record on the record player. And I actually said, oh, that better be some Nina Simone.
Right, because it was earned.
Lorraine Toussaint sitting, listening to Nina Simone, smoking a cigarette. I could have watched that for 10 minutes. Like, just 10 minutes of Lorraine Toussaint smoking a cigarette, listening to Nina Simone. And then when Gugu and Mbatha-Raw comes, and you have both of these great actresses bouncing off of each other, and then, as you said, Sanaa Sidney, who is this extraordinary young actress, I could have just watched the three of them.
Yeah.
Just communicate, just bounce off of each other, just act, if you will. And it really is, frankly, a testament to the performances that, as you said, elevates a story. It really is, a lot of it is sort of science fiction boilerplate.
Right.
There's some superpowers, it's a government agent, they're chasing after him, they got to deal with it. But because of the caliber of acting, it elevates the whole situation. And worth noting, and we're talking about this month, the power of representation. This is a story that is never told that centers Black women.
Right.
And I think even that separates it from another film that frankly could have had another group of people in these three roles.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, as I was watching it and reading about the film, it looks like Gugu and Mbatha-Raw was cast first.
Yep.
And then everyone else sort of fell into it. And I do wonder, was this script written with Black women in mind?
I got a funny feeling it was. I had a feeling, like they said, I read that story too because Julia Hart mentions that she saw Mbatha-Raw in Beyond the Lights, which is better than it has any right to be, and sent the script to her, and Mbatha-Raw like signed on the very next day. So I got a funny feeling from there. She then says that Lorraine Toussaint was her first choice. So
okay, all right. Well, excellent, because I do, and we talked a little bit about this before the show. I do have to say the end kind of made me go, huh? Where, not to give it away, but basically Lorraine Toussaint makes a deal with the government, which doesn't seem like something that is that realistic for a Black woman her age to trust these men.
Right.
And kind of go along with them, especially as many of us, just to keep it nerdy, are in the midst of conversations about the character Isaiah Bradley on Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and just the relationship between Black people in the government and Black people in the medical field and Black people and doctors, like all of it. But that is it's not even a quibble. Like, it's not even a quibble. Because, as I said, in my mind, the strength of this film is the performances by these three powerhouse actresses. It really is. Much like you, I also liked Christopher Denham. I like Christopher Denham. I like Christopher Denham. But I think the film very smartly keeps him in a supporting moment.
Right.
You know, even when he's on screen with the other three actresses, he very much is deferential to what's happening between these three women. And this is a great film. This is a great film that I almost wish didn't have the trappings of science fiction.
I do too, but I'm still with it. I'm down with it because, you know, as much as it's a great story about a film about three Black women, you know, sometimes, just like we've learned from Star Trek, sometimes you've got to take the story that you want to tell and put it in something that will maybe get people into the seats. And you know, and I think that's what they're doing here. One other thing that I liked about this film was that, except for the one moment between Mbatha-Raw and Denham, which is necessary, there's no real violence on screen. You almost always see the violence afterwards. You know what I mean? There's a moment where we follow in Mbatha-Raw, Ruth, her character, to a very revelational moment in the film. And at the same time, there's some craziness going on. And the story takes a not often used or makes a not often seen decision to stay 100% with Ruth and not cut to, meanwhile, what's going on back here. So that when Ruth then returns to this, returns back home, we only see the aftermath, right? I think one of it is smart because of some of the protagonists who are involved. You probably may not want to see that. Maybe you don't want to see that level entered into this film. Kind of maybe keep it on a more quote unquote lighter realm. But I also think it's smart because your mind now fills in the blanks because you
Right.
definitely see the aftermath. And, you know, they couldn't show anything as horrific as what your mind is seeing, you know?
Right.
So I think that's a smart choice. And to your point about Bo making the decision that she does, I think she makes the decision that she does because she also makes more importantly, she makes another decision before that. And that decision is basically to hide no more. And
Right.
she's forced to hide no more. And in hiding no more, she has to reveal, not to herself, because she knew this all along, but to the people that she loves, that, you know, if I wanna, stuff can get handled, you know?
Right.
It's just a matter of, you know, I'm doing as I was taught, as my foremothers taught me. But I can see that we are at this moment where that is not the way to go, and trust. Oh, I'm trained. There's a reason why I train y'all, because I'm well trained and I can handle some stuff. And I thought that was spot on because, and I can't remember exactly where I read it. Oh, wow. Interesting. I read it in an article that I sent you about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier from the Hollywood Reporter, and just talking about some of the choices that were made in that series. And one of the lines from that article was saying that change is confrontational. And
Right. Yeah.
and then that is the tact that that's what she comes to realize at that moment. And quiet as a kept, it's a lesson that is taught by Lila.
By Lila. That's right. Yeah.
By Lila, as like I said, the smartest person in here. And so Bo sees that, and that's why she's like basically like, man up, and she's like, oh, don't worry about me. Yeah, I will talk to y'all. I will tell you what you want to know, because you are not going to touch these two children. They're going to go do their thing. I'll tell you what you want to know. We can do whatever. This will be an equal partnership, because trust, I will make sure that it is, you know?
Okay.
So
I'll buy that.
I dug it.
I'll buy that. Yeah. I'll buy that. Like I said, it doesn't take much to convince me of that. Because it's so good. It's so good. And much like you, I just love Lorraine Toussaint so much.
Don't you though, man?
Like, I love her so much. Like, I really just have an idea of a show. It's like Viola Davis, Lorraine Toussaint, and Ingenue Ellis, and they just sit in a house and in like have lunch. That's the whole show.
I hear you.
That's the whole show. They just have lunch and they talk and they act.
I agree with you. I'm with you on that one. And that's a good one. But wait a minute. I would only say that, you know, they sit and have lunch, but then they realize, oh, wait a minute, we've got a fourth chair, and then they call my girl CCH Pounder. Now we're talking.
Now we're talking. Maybe they'll play spades.
Ooh. I would be a fly on the wall just sitting there watching them play spades.
Just watching, yeah. And much, you know, just to reiterate what you said and what we've said, the beauty of the silent moments in this film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there are these wonderful stretches where these actresses, including Sanaa, my screen just went blank. And you know,
Sanaa Sidney.
Including Sanaa Sidney. Like, there are moments when all three of these actresses are by themselves in scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And then, much like you said, with that wonderful breakfast scene, the three of them are together and they work with silence.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so masterfully done.
Yeah. And I also like that the film, as beautiful as it is, direction is not showy. It's not showy at all.
It's not. No, it's not.
But it is just spot on, perfect. It's
but it's very deliberate.
Mm-hmm,
like the moments are very like there are there are a couple of moments where Julia Hart has these reveals. Where the camera either pans left or pans right, or the shot widens and she grants you more information that are so well done, very understated, but very deliberate.
Yeah.
So while it's not showy, it's also not a laissez-faire directing style either. Like, this is a director, she very much knew what she was trying to achieve with each scene.
Yeah, well done. Very, very well done. And if you haven't checked out Fast Color, I'll let you ask me.
Yes. So, Lynn, the question always is, would you recommend Fast Color?
I would very much recommend Fast Color. Like, unequivocally, and I'll be cutting that out. Yes, I would recommend Fast Color. We actually hearing from a lot of people who recommend Fast Color. Michelle Davenport says it's just a beautiful movie, and though they were superhuman, they were beautiful. They were so beautifully human. Beautiful take on relationships and founding power in brokenness. The aesthetics were amazing. How can Dry Dirty Land be so beautifully shot? Loved all three performances and loved the kitchen scene too. So yeah, everybody like right there with us. What about you, Vince? Would you recommend Fast Color?
Absolutely. Not only would I recommend it, I would recommend it to people who don't necessarily like science fiction.
Oh yeah, yeah,
and don't like the past 10 years, almost 20 years at this point, kind of post Marvel and post the big stuff, and you see something with people with superpowers, and you go, well, this isn't for me. But these performances really are at the heart of what makes this film work.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Go out, watch Fast Color, check out that film. Before we tell you what's coming up next week as we close out our Afrofuturistic April, we invite you all to send us all of your feedback, all of your thoughts, concerns. Email us at micheauxmission@gmail.com. That's micheauxmission, MICHEAUXMISSION. And you can also go to the micheauxmission.com, 2 Men 1 podcast, every black film ever made, where you can register and subscribe to the Micheaux Mission Dispatch, our weekly newsletter. Find out what's going on at the Micheaux Mission, and also go to hit swag and check out all the cool designs and t-shirts and whatnot's available to you by our friends at TeePublic. If you like the Micheaux Mission, why don't you follow us and subscribe and become a follower at Micheaux Mission on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, as well as on YouTube. The Micheaux Mission is also a proud member of The Podglomerate, thepodglomerate.com, curated podcast for your listening pleasure. All right. Okie dokie, Vince. Next week on the Micheaux Mission, we shut down, we close out Afrofuturistic April. Where are we going?
We are going to the year 2015 and the film Z for Zachariah. We're keeping it post-apocalyptic. We're keeping it desolate. We're going to talk about a film with another one of our favorite actors, Chiwetel Ejiofor. Ejiofor, sorry. So we got that next week, and as we wrap it up here on Octavia April. Yes. April is for Afrofuturism.
And we promise, Nettie, next week we will make sure that we pronounce Mr. Ejiofor's name correctly on the show. I mean, we poke fun.
We will endeavor.
We will endeavor. We poke fun, but that was a sincere point, and it's a point well taken. And we do try to practice at proper punctuation of people's names. Me, myself, I try and I believe that people, if that's your name, then you deserve to hear it said correctly. But as Vince always says,
oh Lord, what? What do I always
About it
say?
is not the.
Oh, yes. It is not the hardness of our heart. It is the clumsiness of our tongue.
Yes, indeed.
There you go.
All right. Until next week, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, each and every one of you. He's Vince. I'm Len. And in parting, we say,
We'll see you when it's time to meet again.